Have you ever felt a sudden flash of anger ruin your entire day, leaving you feeling exhausted and full of regret? It is a heavy burden to carry. You promise yourself you will stay calm, but then one small thing goes wrong, and the fire returns. Meet Lin. At his core, Lin was a kind, hard-working man who loved his family. Yet, he suffered from a terrible affliction. His temper ignited like a dry match in the wind. He lived entirely at the mercy of his own wild emotions. For Lin, peace was never permanent. It was always just one careless mistake away from being completely destroyed. He was a prisoner inside his own frustrated mind, desperately seeking an escape. Lin lived in a place that seemed carved from a dream. It was a quiet, misty village nestled perfectly beside a slow, peaceful river. In the early mornings, the water mirrored the soft, pastel colors of the rising sun. The entire world around him moved at a gentle, forgiving pace. But inside Lin, a violent storm raged without end. The sharp contrast between his serene environment and his chaotic inner world was exhausting. While his neighbors drifted through their days with calm smiles, his mind was a rushing torrent of bitter frustration. He was always scanning the horizon, effortlessly finding a no reason to be irritated by the innocent people around him. His beautiful village felt like a lovely cage. His anger was a hungry beast, constantly demanding to be fed. A harmless accident, like a spilled cup of hot tea on the table, was enough to make his blood boil instantly. If a slow, confused customer took too long at his small shop, Lin would loudly lash out, his face turning dark red. Every outburst was followed by a heavy, guilty silence, slowly pushing his beloved wife and the children further away. But in his mind, Lin felt entirely justified. He truly believed that the world was simply full of careless, stupid fools who were purposefully trying to ruin his peaceful life. He blamed the clumsiness of others for the permanent storm in his heart. It is a tragic trap. Man, people let this invisible fire burn their most precious relationships to the ground, never realizing the true source of the flame. While Lin figured it out before he is left completely alone, he was trapped in a cycle of blame, watching the warm smiles of his family turn into expressions of fear, unable to stop his own painful reactions. Exhausted by the constant, tight knot of stress in his chest and the growing, painful distance of his family, Lin could no more longer endure his own mind. Desperate for relief, he traveled across the misty river to seek out an old, revered Zen master known for his profound wisdom. Arriving breathless, Lin immediately began to complain. He blamed the villagers, his customers, and even the weather for his endless misery, bitterly begging for a magical cure to make everyone stop annoying him. He wanted a shield against the world's foolishness. The wise old master listened patiently, his eyes full of gentle compassion. Instead of offering a lecture or a secret potion, he simply pointed to a small, weathered wooden boat. He instructed Lin to row out to the middle of the peaceful river, close his eyes, and meditate in silence. Lin rowed to the center of the river and pulled his oars inside. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and tried to still his mind. For the first time in months, the noise in his head began to fade. A rare, fragile moment of deep peace washed over him as he listened to the gentle water. Suddenly, a heavy thud violently shook his small wooden boat. Another vessel had rammed directly into his side. Lin's eyes snapped open, his face instantly flushing dark red with sudden, familiar fury. He leapt up, waving his fists, and he immediately began screaming vicious curses at the careless, blind fool who had ruined his perfect meditation. "Watch exactly where you are going, you idiot!" he roared into the mist. But as the morning fog slowly cleared, his voice caught in his throat. He stopped dead in his tracks. Staring back at him was an empty boat. It had simply slipped its rope and drifted on the current. In a heartbeat, his blazing rage instantly dissolved into a profound, confused, and completely silent embarrassment. The wise master appeared quietly on the grassy riverbank, watching Lin's face slowly transform from blind fury to profound understanding. He stepped closer to the edge of the water and explained the true meaning behind the startling event. "The empty boat did not make you angry," he called out softly over the gentle ripples. "It only bumped into you. The burning anger was already inside you, waiting for an excuse to be unleashed." He smiled, sharing a deeply actionable truth. The people who frustrate and offend you as daily are very often just empty boats themselves. They are simply driven by their own blind currents of stress, the personal pain, or simple ignorance. They are not attacking you. They are merely drifting helplessly. When we finally realize this, the illusion breaks. Suddenly, there is absolutely no one left to yell at. Months later, Lin's life in the misty village had completely transformed. The heavy storm inside him was finally quiet. When a clumsy neighbor bumped into him at a crowded market, or a distracted customer made a careless mistake, the old Lin would have exploded in fiery rage. But the new Lin simply paused. He took a slow, deep breath and visualized that quiet, empty wooden boat drifting harmlessly on the river. The sudden flash of it would vanish, replaced by a steady, calm clarity. He began to smile more often, his eyes softening with warmth. Slowly, his beloved family drew close to him again. Lin finally discovered that true power is never found in controlling others, but in mastering himself. Do not let empty boats steal your precious inner peace. When the fire rises, simply remember the river. Ask yourself this vital question: who or what is the empty boat triggering your anger today? You alone hold the power to remain completely calm. If this story brought you peace, please like, share, and subscribe to keep growing with us until tal.